The flight that changed everything. Sarah, 38 years oldie, still remember the weight of my husband Michael's wedding ring in my palm the day I buried him. 3 years of grief had carved lines around my eyes that no amount of concealer could hide, but my son Ethan kept me breathing. At 8 years old, he was the mirror image of his father, those same warm brown eyes, that gentle smile that could melt the hardest heart. Mom, can we go somewhere? Ethan asked one evening, his small hand tugging at my sleeve. Somewhere new? I looked at my boy, really looked at him, and saw the sadness he tried to hide behind his brave face. We both needed this, a fresh start, a chance to remember how to live again. So I booked us tickets to California. 2 weeks of sunshine, beaches, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of healing. The airport, a quiet morning airport, hummed with the soft buzz of travelers. Ethan walked beside me, his small backpack bouncing against his shoulders. He was unusually quiet, clutching the toy car his father had given him for his 5th birthday. You okay, sweetheart? I asked, kneeling down to meet his eyes. He nodded, but I could see something working behind those thoughtful eyes of his. My son had always been perceptive, even as a toddler. We found our seats in the boarding area. I was checking our boarding passes when Ethan suddenly went still beside me. His whole body tensed, and his breath caught in a way that made my mother's instinct flare. Ethan? What is it? Mom, he whispered, his voice so small I almost didn't hear him. Mom, that's Dad. My heart stopped. I followed his gaze across the terminal, and there, sitting at gate 32, was a man who could have been Michael's twin. Same build, same way of holding his shoulders, same profile. He was laughing at something, his head thrown back, in a gesture so achingly familiar it hurt to breathe. But when he turned, I saw her, a woman with auburn hair, her hand resting possessively on his arm. She was beautiful, polished, wearing the kind of effortless elegance I'd abandoned somewhere between midnight feedings and funeral arrangements. Honey, that's not your dad, I said gently, pulling Ethan close. I know it's hard, but, Mom, look at him. Really look. And I did. I looked at the way he gestured with his hands, the way he tilted his head when he listened. The small scar above his left eyebrow from a childhood bicycle accident he told me about on our 3rd date. The world tilted beneath me. Michael, the man who came back from the dead it couldn't be. I'd buried my husband. I'd stood at his grave while rain mixed with tears on my face. I'd held Ethan while he cried himself to sleep for months. But there he sat, very much alive. My hands started shaking. Ethan gripped my arm tighter, his young face confused and hopeful and terrified all at once. Stay here, I told him, my voice barely steady. Don't move. I stood up, my legs feeling like water beneath me. Each step toward gate 32 felt like walking through a dream, the kind where everything moves too slowly and nothing makes sense. He didn't see me approaching. He was too engrossed in conversation with the woman, their heads bent close together in an intimacy that sent ice through my veins. When I was 10 feet away, I stopped. My voice came out stronger than I felt. Michael? He looked up, and in that moment, I saw everything I needed to know. His face went white. His eyes widened with genuine shock, and then something else. Something that looked like guilt and fear and calculations happening at lightning speed. Sarah. My name fell from his lips like a confession. The woman beside him frowned, looking between us. Michael? Who is this? Who is this? I repeated, my voice climbing. I'm his wife. Or at least, I was, until I buried him 3 years ago. The truth unravels. People were starting to stare. The woman, her name was Jennifer, I would later learn, stood up, her face a mask of confusion. What are you talking about? Jennifer demanded. Michael, what is she saying? But Michael couldn't speak. He just stared at me with those eyes I'd loved, those eyes I'd mourned, and I saw the man I'd married crumble into someone I didn't recognize. Security arrived. Managers appeared, and slowly, painfully, in an airport terminal surrounded by strangers, the truth came out in broken pieces. There had been no car accident, no tragic death. There had been gambling debt I'd known nothing about. There had been threats, and there had been a choice: face the consequences or disappear. He'd chosen to disappear. He'd chosen to let me believe he was dead. Let our son grow up without a father. Let us grieve while he built a new life with a new woman in another state. I was going to come back, he said, and the words sounded hollow even to him. I just needed time to fix things, to make it right. 3 years. I interrupted, my voice breaking. 3 years, Michael. Do you know what Ethan went through? Do you know how many nights he cried for you? His eyes filled with tears, but I felt no satisfaction in seeing them, only numbness spreading through my chest like frost. Ethan's. Ethan appeared at my side then, my brave boy who disobeyed me because he couldn't stay away. He looked at his father, the stranger wearing his father's face with eyes that seemed older than 8 years should allow. Why? Ethan asked simply. Michael knelt down, reaching for his son, but Ethan stepped back. I made mistakes, buddy. Big ones. I was scared and stupid, and I hurt the people I loved most. You hurt Mom, Ethan said, his small voice steady. You hurt me. You weren't dead, but you let us think you were. That's worse. Out of the mouths of children comes the truest wisdom. 6 months later, legal proceedings were complicated. The emotional ones were worse. Michael faced fraud charges for the faked death and insurance claims. Jennifer left him. She'd been lied to as well, told he was a widower starting fresh. I could have taken revenge in 1,000 ways. Could have made him pay for every sleepless night, every tear, every moment Ethan had asked why his daddy had to die. But somewhere in those long months, I learned something about the weight of anger. It's heavy, it's exhausting, and it keeps you tethered to the very person you're trying to be free from. I sat across from Michael one afternoon in a small cafe, Ethan at a nearby table doing homework. This was what the court-mandated family therapy had led to: supervised visits, careful conversations, the slow rebuilding of something that could never be what it was. I don't forgive you, I told him honestly. I don't know if I ever will. What you did was unforgivable. He nodded, his face lined with regret that seemed genuine. But Ethan deserves better than to grow up consumed by what you took from him. So we're going to try. Not for you, for him. You're going to show up. You're going to be honest. You're going to do the work. I will, he promised. Every day, Sarah. I'll prove it every day. 1 year later, the real fresh startathon, and I did take that California trip, eventually. We walked on beaches at sunset, built sandcastles, laughed until our stomachs hurt. I met someone there, Daniel, a widower with a daughter Ethan's age. We talked for hours about loss and healing and the courage it takes to trust again. It started as friendship and grew into something warm and unexpected. Michael kept his promise. He showed up. He went to Ethan's soccer games, helped with homework over video calls, slowly earned back tiny pieces of trust. But the real revenge, I realized, wasn't in punishing him. It was in refusing to let what he'd done define the rest of our lives. It was in choosing joy when grief felt safer. It was in showing Ethan that betrayal doesn't have to make you bitter. It can make you stronger, more careful, more appreciative of genuine love. One evening, Ethan and I sat on our porch swing, watching fireflies dance in the gathering dusk. Mom, he said softly, I'm glad we saw Dad that day at the airport. Yeah, why's that, sweetheart? Because now I know the truth. And the truth is better than wondering. Even when it hurts, I pulled him close, kissed the top of his head, and felt something inside me finally settle. He was right. The truth, painful, messy, complicated, was better than the beautiful lie we'd been living. And that was the real fresh start. Not a trip, not a new relationship, but the courage to see clearly, feel deeply, and choose kindness anyway, even when kindness looked like letting go.